Hi, I'm Ryan, and welcome to another episode of Arts for the Masses. The arts are alive in Massachusetts, and I'm so glad to be able to bring so many wonderful arts programs right to you and tell you what's going on in your community and beyond. And today we're talking about Theater at the Mount, which is located at Mount Wachusett Community College in Gardner. And in the past 40 plus years, Theater at the Mount has presented over 300 plays and has had more than 2,500 different people involved in productions, either on stage or backstage. They have created an estimated 20,000 costumes, and over 1,000 different sets have been constructed, with more than 500,000 people enjoying community theater at its finest. That's right from the website. I didn't make that up myself. Up next on their stage, they have The Music Man, and I have a personal connection to that production, which we'll get into in just a little bit. But I'm so excited to have Professor Gail Steele, who is the theater director of Theater at the Mount. Welcome.
Good morning, Ryan. It's nice to be here.
It's great to have you as well. Now, you've been involved with Theater at the Mount almost from its inception, am I correct?
Right. I came on board at the Mount in 1977, so I've been there a long time, 47 years.
Congratulations.
And have been the head of the theater for the vast majority of that, about 42 years.
Now, we haven't had much time to actually talk one-on-one because we've been in rehearsal.
Right.
But I have questions about how Theater at the Mount operates, because it's a little different from other community theaters because it's located at Mount Wachusett Community College. Is it funded by the college? Is it its own entity? Is there a lot of handshaking going on? How does that all work?
The college actually underwrites everything that we do. Every purchase that is made is a purchase that is made through our business office at the college, and we have to answer to them financially and fiscally. We have been fortunate that we have been able to maintain our own. Nobody asks us to be hugely profitable, but they ask us also not to dig a hole anywhere either.
Sure.
So we've been able to maintain balance, and the college recognizes the value that it has both for the local community as well as for the overall image of the college. More people come to Theater at the Mount productions in a year than any other event during the year, including classes. Wow,
that's incredible. And it's a gorgeous facility, and I understand it's undergone many renovations, but it has its own building area for set design and construction, beautiful accessible auditorium, handicapped accessible,
right,
and green rooms and dressing rooms. I haven't got to see those yet, but also just when you enter the space, there is always artwork on the walls, and I believe Mount Wachusett has a very strong fine arts program as well. That's the impression I get from seeing all that great artwork.
Right, we have a wonderful art department, and we try as much as possible to coordinate with the gallery director so that there are exhibits up when we have a show, and our customers get not only to enjoy the theater, but also to enjoy the artwork when they're there.
So, are you a teacher as well? I know that you're Professor Gail Steele. What do you teach at the college?
I teach theater, acting, intro to theater, and I primarily, though, teach public speaking.
Oh, fantastic. I hope I'm doing okay today.
You're doing great.
I'm always get a little nervous. Actually, it's easier being in this seat, and you just get to play dumb sometimes and ask questions, and you have to do the hard work over here.
Answering questions is nothing.
How has programming at Theater at the Mount changed over the years? I know that it started as just a summer theater, doing a few summer stock style productions, and now you offer programming year-round?
Right, well, we had two organizations initially. We had a student organization called the Mount Players, and then we had the community portion, which was Theater at the Mount, which was primarily summer. And it was indeed like summer stock, 4 shows in 8 weeks kind of thing.
Oh, knock it out.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
And when I stepped in as theater director, the other person had gone on to other things, we decided it was better to combine the two. And so we had a year-round theater, and we took the name Theater at the Mount, which was, we thought, a more exciting name anyway.
Sure.
We do still have a Mount Players, which is a small student group on campus.
Oh, okay.
And they do some things of their own, but not the main stage productions that Theater at the Mount does.
Do many of the students get involved in the Theater at the Mount productions?
We have some, not a huge number. The nature of students at Mount Wachusett Community College is that they have a ton of other commitments besides school.
Of course.
Many of them have multiple jobs, have families and so forth. And so to make the commitment to be involved in a major production is a lot for them. So we have some. And Music Man, which is coming up, there are a couple there, and some of the tech people too.
Excellent, excellent. Now, you also started children's theater at Theater at the Mount. Now, children's theater is a very big umbrella when I think of it. There's theater for children's, TYA shows, theater for young audiences, and then there's theater with children performing in it, and then there's sometimes some crossover where it's young people performing for their peers. What do you do at Theater at the Mount?
And we've done all of those things.
You've done all the above.
Initially, it was theater for young audiences, so it was performed primarily by Mount students and adults. The first time that we did it was a show called The Pale Pink Dragon.
Okay.
And we invited school groups to come in, and we charged $1 a ticket.
Ooh.
And we packed the place.
I'm sure.
And they wanted more. The schools said, this is in our backyard. This is a great field trip. It's educational. It's entertaining. And so we started doing an annual children's production. And we went from adults performing for children to a mix performing for children. And then primarily now we do children performing for children and teens.
And up next you have Finding Nemo?
Finding Nemo Jr.,
Wonderful.
which we're very excited about. We have auditions on Saturday, and I think we have something like 90 children and teens scheduled to audition.
And how many can you actually take?
36, 40 maybe if we stretch it.
And do the children pay to participate in the program?
No.
No?
We do not charge anybody to participate in Theater at the Mount.
How about the summer? You do a summer program for kids
We do have
as well.
a summer drama camp, and that does have
Okay.
a fee associated with it. But to be in a production, it doesn't cost anybody anything. And we try to limit the financial obligation that anybody might have. So we do often ask people to get a particular kind of shoe or to get a particular pair of trousers or something, but we try to keep that to a minimum so that it is not cost prohibitive for anybody to be involved.
Wonderful. So you have Finding Nemo for the youngins coming up.
Right.
And then back in October, you had a show called Tilly the Trickster, is that right?
Right.
So what was that?
So Tilly the Trickster was our fall touring show. So in the spring, schools come to Theater at the Mount to see our productions. So they bus the kids in and come to visit us. But in the fall, we go to visit them.
Oh, that's great.
So we take the show on the road, and we go to, generally speaking, 10 schools in the course of 5 days.
That's a lot. Are you looking to expand that anymore, or are you sort of at your limit right there?
Realistically, we can't, because the show is performed by teenagers, and they have to stay out of school to do that. And while they don't mind that,
Right.
it does interfere with their educational process.
Of course, of course.
So there's a limit to how much we can ask of them. But we do. We go on the road. We have 5 tour dates, and we do 2 shows a day, sometimes even 3.
Wow, that's a lot.
And the kids pack up the set after each performance, get things into the van, go through McDonald's drive-thru, get to the next school, unload, and fill
They're
up
all
again.
actors / assistant stage
They do
managers.
everything.
I love that life.
And it's a great experience for them.
Absolutely. Now, something that's really lovely at the theater is as you walk around the back wall are these wonderful posters of all the different shows by year
Right.
that the theater has done. And it's such a diverse array of shows, and it's a mixture of musicals, and I see some plays and comedies there
Right.
as well. And I know you just did The Odd Couple, and I've seen photos of Boeing and other fun shows. Do you continue to do a mix of plays and musicals?
We do try to mix it up. We try to do at least 1 play a year. Musicals are our bread and butter. Our
Okay.
audiences like musicals. They come in droves. So a play is sometimes a harder sell. However, Odd Couple was an enormously successful
Good
show
to
for
hear.
us.
Wonderful.
Our people just knew it and wanted to see it, and were ready for some laughs, and so it did really well for us. So we do a mix.
How has programming changed over the years? I know you like the classics. That's what I've heard.
I do.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of different kinds of things too. And in fact, one of my favorites is not a classic at all, was We Will Rock You, which is the Queen musical.
Yeah.
And it did enormously well. I'm not a fan of Rent, but we did it, and it sold like crazy.
Well, who picks the shows? Is there a board of directors, or is it people submitting their scripts and ideas to you that you've worked with before?
Typically, I make the final decision, but I have never felt like I wanted to make those decisions on my own, and I seek input from many people. a big contributor is our tech director. I want the tech director to have things that are challenging but are within the realm of possibility, and that he or she can be totally excited about.
And there's a brand new tech director.
And there's a new tech director, so he hasn't had any say in this year's selections, but so he's got.
He hit the ground running.
That's right.
Absolutely.
But certainly, I will discuss things with him. I ask performers all the time, what are you passionate about? What would you like to do? And I gift them with things that they like to do too.
Wonderful.
I make no secret of the fact that I don't love Sondheim.
But Into the Woods snuck its way into your next season, am I right?
But I gifted that.
your gift.
It was my gift to our performers. I said, you guys have been asking me for years to do this, and I know that we will have a stellar cast when we do it. And that's the key.
Right.
That we will do it extremely well.
So my first experience at Theater at the Mount was I saw Hello, Dolly. And I'm still pretty new to the Massachusetts area, and of course I've been scoping out the different theaters, and I was absolutely blown away by the professionalism. But there's something you can't always put your thumb on, and that's just a positive energy from everyone in the space. I'm talking everyone from the box office to the audio tech that was right there at the top of the stairs to you can see within the cast that they enjoy being together. It's something you can't fake. And is that sort of the heart of Theater at the Mount?
There's a culture that we have at Theater at the Mount, and everybody refers to it as the Theater at the Mount family. And we do genuinely feel that way. And that has been a big thing in terms of my tenure there, is that I have wanted everybody who came in to have a positive experience. Whether that's a person sitting in a chair watching a show, or a person who's helping to move scenery backstage, or somebody who's styling wigs, or somebody who's on stage as the star. I've always wanted it to be a positive experience for everybody, and to welcome everybody to be part of that.
Well, let's talk about that too, welcoming other people to be a part of this experience. So I tried to get tickets to ELF, and of course it sold out like that, but I was able to grab a ticket to the sensory-friendly performance. Tell our audience what the sensory-friendly performance is and what that means to you.
I am extraordinarily proud of our relationship with the ARC in Fitchburg. It's an organization that provides services and opportunities for individuals with disabilities, particularly individuals with autism, Down syndrome, and so forth. My grandson, Cole, is now 14, and at age 3, he was diagnosed with autism. And at that time, I was feeling kind of lost. It was my first grandchild. I was devastated. I didn't know what I could do for him or with him. I didn't know what his potential was. It was a very scary time. And at that moment, I got an unsolicited phone call from the ARC. And they said, we'd like to talk to you about this idea we have for sensory-friendly theater. And I didn't even know what that was.
Right.
And so I said, sure. And I came in, and we had this meeting, and I said, that's it. That's what I'm supposed to do. That's what I can do for Cole and for others like him. And so for, it's about 10 years now that I think we've been doing it. We have a performance of our holiday show designated as sensory-friendly, and we make accommodations to make it more friendly for people with disabilities. We do not turn the lights down fully because some individuals don't like the dark. We turn down any loud noises. The most recent one, ELF, didn't have like explosions or thunder or anything, but we would turn those down. If we had an orchestra, we would tone that down. We keep the sound level low so that it's not jarring for anybody. We designate it as a judgment-free zone, which means anybody who's sitting there cannot object if there is an individual who has to get up and walk around, or if there's an individual who vocalizes during the course of the performance.
There were some joyous noises happening there.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
And it gave me a lot of joy, actually. I taught special needs for many years, and I think those performances are just fantastic, that people can express themselves authentically without being hushed or quieted or moved to the back. In fact, people were enjoying being in the back because they could stand and walk around freely if they needed to move around and get some wiggles out. It was...
And we have a break room, a quiet room where We have sensory games and activities for people who need a break, and we have a live video feed into that room so that if the family has to exit the theater, they don't have to miss the whole show. They can watch while they're in the timeout room and come back when they're ready. And so it's something we're very proud of.
It's wonderful.
We're actually expanding it this year.
How?
We've always only done the holiday show, but we are doing a sensory-friendly performance of Finding Nemo Jr. as well.
Oh, that'll be a hit.
So we're very excited about that.
Now, I could tell you were excited because you were dressed up to the nines. You had a red dress on for Elf, and you were just beaming with pride when I saw you. I didn't say hi, but I saw you over there. You were doing your job and greeting people, and it was
the
wonderful.
sensory-friendly show is Christmas for me.
Yeah.
I just think it's the most joyful thing that I do during the holiday season, and I can't tell you the gratitude that I have gotten from people who said as a family they had never been able to go to a live theater event, that they feel so welcome and so fortunate to have something that is welcoming and affordable.
Well, congratulations. Let's keep it going.
Thank you.
Let's switch gears and talk a little bit about The Music Man. And I guess I should say that I have the thrill of playing Professor Harold Hill in The Music Man. And we're talking about a welcoming and inclusive culture that you have there. I've done a lot of performing, but it's been many years since I've done performing. And community theater is very special to me. Because often when you do a professional contract, you pop in and you do a show, and then you never see those people again. I've just moved to this area, and my main goal for auditioning was not to play Harold Hill, it was to find friends that I could have a drink with, that I could invite over for a barbecue in the summer, and that's what's happening. That was my goal to do that for auditioning here. Harold Hill is a huge thrill and bonus, but I could not be more thrilled with the caliber of character and the people that have assembled. Now, this is a huge cast. I haven't counted them. How many people are in this show?
It's over 40.
It's huge.
It is.
Is this one of the biggest Theater at the Mount casts you've had?
No. No? We've had 60. I think we've even approached 100 at one time.
Oh, my.
I think when we did Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, we had a huge children's chorus. And so I think we were close to 100 on that one.
Why did you pick The Music Man?
It's a classic.
Okay, it's a classic.
Steele's favorite is the classics.
What about it speaks to you, and do you think speaks to the Mount audiences?
I think the fact that it just the music is just so fun.
It's classics.
And everybody knows the music.
They know Till There Was You, whether it's the Beatles cover or the original. 76 trombones. It's great. Gary, Indiana.
Yes.
I mean, that's a weird little song.
It is, but you leave humming it.
You do, you do. Are many of the casts regular performers at the Mount?
It's a mix.
Yeah?
And it's almost always a mix for us. We have new people in every single show. I can't remember the last time we did a show that did not involve somebody new.
Wonderful.
And oftentimes 7 or 8 new people. And we love that. New friends, new talent, and it just expands our horizons, and you learn from every single person who comes on stage.
Now, for our audience who doesn't know what The Music Man is about, should we give him a little rundown?
Yeah.
It's about a traveling salesman. He's a swindler of sorts. He's not the most honest fellow in the bunch, and he arrives in River City, Iowa, and his whole shtick is selling band instruments. And these gullible River City Iowans fall for many of his tricks until the librarian gets smart to some of his conniving, and then they all attempt to run him out of town at the end, and there's ultimately a big change of heart.
Right.
And I think that's sort of the key to the show, is that people can change. And it's that whole don't judge a book by its cover. It takes Harold Hill himself a long time to change his cover, you know?
Right.
And just the fact that people can change. And the Iowans are set up very, very strongly in the opening number, which is called Iowa Stubborn.
Exactly.
To show exactly the character of these townspeople. And the fact that they are able to change and that their hearts grow like the Grinch in some way, it's just a charming show.
It is. And it speaks to me personally because I've always, in my long tenure there, I have always said I never say never.
Okay.
And you know, sometimes you'll work with somebody who's particularly difficult, and somebody will say, "Oh, you'll never hire him again," or "You'll never cast him again," and I'll say, "Never say never." And you know, as years go by, sometimes those people drift back, and they have changed, or I have changed, or the environment has changed, and then they make contributions that we didn't expect.
That's incredible.
And I have seen that on at least a half a dozen occasions. So the theme of Music Man resonates with me.
Tell me about some of the team that you've assembled for the Music Man, because I've enjoyed working with everyone immensely. We have Terry Hyde as the director. What's her involvement been like at the Mount?
Terry did some things at the Mount quite a few years ago, and then she kind of didn't for a while. And last year she came on board as director for Man of La Mancha.
Okay.
And she was wonderful. She just, everybody liked working with her. She was organized. She had a vision of what she wanted it to be, and she stuck with that and made it come to life. And she's just a pleasant person all around. So,
yeah.
So we're thrilled to have her on as director.
Then we have Allison Hall as the choreographer.
Allison has worked with us for many, many, many years. I think her choreography is brilliant.
Now, she did Hello, Dolly?
Yes.
Right? She's special.
Uh-huh.
Because, and this is a rare thing with choreographers, she's able to put choreography on many different bodies and many different abilities and make everyone look good.
Exactly.
And that is a skill that many choreographers could learn from Allison, because it is an art to do to make things clean and come together and still tell dynamic stories through dance and movement, and do it so quickly too. The rehearsal process is so fast for Music Man.
And she does it in such good spirits all the time too.
Never yelling at people.
No, she's just
a gentle correction here and there.
Exactly.
But it makes you want to work harder as a result.
And we have some of our regulars at Theater at the Mount who really work hard to help others with choreography as well. We have a couple of people who are really strong dancers, and they've been known to come in early to teach people who've missed a rehearsal or to run something that's somebody's struggling with.
Right.
And they just go that extra mile all the time to help with the choreography.
Then, of course, we have Senya Morgan as our music director, and she has such a vast knowledge of music history and pedagogy and Laban technique and all these different things that she's throwing at us to just elevate the performances, and a very strong choral background.
Senya, again, has been away from Theater at the Mount for quite some time. She did some shows with us maybe 15 years ago, maybe even longer than that. And then she moved to the Midwest, and so we didn't have her for all those years. And about a year or so ago, I saw on social media that she was back in the area, so I immediately reached out to her and said, "You want to do a show?" Yeah. And she said, "Let me get settled first." Right. So I let a few months go by, and then I called her again. But yeah, she's great.
Now, Music Man has some deceptively difficult music, and one of the highlights of the show is the quartet.
Exactly.
There's a barbershop quartet in the show, and when they originally did it on Broadway, they hired an actual barbershop quartet, because that is a skill all unto itself. But whenever community theater does it, or a semi-professional group, barbershop quartets are hard to find, especially those that can also act and sing, act and dance in addition to it. You got some great male singers in this group.
We do.
They are gonna knock it out of the park. It's great.
I'm very excited to hear them.
Yeah. Have you heard any tidbits yet?
Only at the very first rehearsal that they had.
Oh, they have grown so much since then already. They are putting in the work, and everyone puts in the work. From the kids and the teenagers, you can tell they come in with such a professional mindset. You
know, and I think that a lot of that comes from the fact that we do a lot of shows that involve both children, teens, and adults. And I think it's really important that the teens see teens and kids see the dedication that it takes to do something that comes across so professionally. And they aspire to that and are inspired by the adults that we have.
Oh, I hope so. I hope I can set a good example.
I think you do.
So the show runs February 23rd through March 3rd.
Right.
And tickets are going fast.
The matinee is already sold out.
Okay, so forget about that March 3rd performance.
Right, but we do have tickets for the 4 evenings. And since COVID, we have moved back the start time. We used to do an 8 o'clock curtain, and we now do a 7:30 curtain. So people who say, well, I don't like to go out late at night, it's a little bit less, it's a little bit more tolerable.
I love a 7:30. I love a 7, too.
I would like a 7 personally.
Maybe next season.
To be honest, I like morning theater.
I love a matinee.
I went to see A Christmas Carol at the Hanover just before Christmas at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I thought, why is there not more morning theater?
Yeah. Well, there is also something magical about it being dark outside.
Yeah.
But now it's dark at 5 o'clock anyway,
Exactly.
so you could do 6 o'clock, as long as people can get out of work and get there on time. You have a very strong subscriber base.
Right.
So what do you accredit that?
Well,
There are other theaters watching that want to know, how do you do it? How do you have all these subscribers?
well, we make it very affordable
Okay.
for subscribers. They get the best deal of any of our other customers, and they know that. We try to do shows that we know will appeal to them, and we do have a liberal exchange policy for our subscribers. Mm-hmm. We don't for other customers, but for our subscribers, we take care of them if we can at all. You know, if somebody called me today and said, I want to exchange and go to the matinee, I can't help there, but because it's sold out. But I can help out in other ways if they need to exchange.
So, of course, my mind is all in Music Man land right now. Mm-hmm. But what other wonderful programming do you have coming up at the Mount?
Well, we do have Finding Nemo Jr. in April. We have a special fundraising event coming up in June that is based on the TV show Family Feud, and it's called Broadway Feud. It's going to be a one-night event on June 15th. We're just in the process of putting it all together. Mark Peterson, who's playing Mayor Shin, had the idea, and he and I have been brainstorming and figuring out how we're going to approach this, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
That sounds great.
Then we just this year switched from doing our season as a calendar year to doing it based on the college's fiscal year,
Okay.
which they had been
begging
us to do for a long time.
Now it all lines
so
up.
We're now doing it that way. So our next season actually doesn't start till July 1. But in that season, we will have The Prom.
Fun.
Steel Magnolias.
Oh, that's a crowd pleaser,
Yep.
too.
Our holiday show is going to be Sound of Music, and then Into the Woods. And then we'll have a children's show afterwards. We haven't finalized the license yet, so I'm not going to talk about that one yet.
And in addition to that, I've seen that you offer little workshops and things along the way, too. Mm-hmm. There was it a swing dancing workshop that just happened?
Last Friday, we had a swing dancing class for teenagers, and this Friday, we have one for adults. I am dragging my husband to it. And I reminded him of that this morning, and there was a lot of groaning going on. But Dawn and Mike Ross, who are regulars at Theater at the Mount, are going to teach the class. They were ballroom dancing partners in college on a ballroom dance team, so they're a lot of fun. Wonderful. We have another one coming up with a different choreographer, Kim Soul, a night at the Kit Kat Club, which is going to be very
cabaret Fosse-esque
with chairs.
Great.
So that one sold out in an instant.
Yeah.
And we have a salsa class coming up later in the spring, too.
You keep busy over there.
We do.
Wonderful. So for people that are just tuning in, this is their first time hearing about Theater at the Mount, maybe they want to get involved as a performer, or maybe they're just interested in buying tickets. Give them a little shout out over there. What would you tell them?
Well, it's very easy to get involved in Theater at the Mount. Certainly, you can reach out to me personally at the college. You can call our box office. Paul is the most welcoming box office agent you will ever
what a
meet.
sweetie.
He has all of the knowledge of every program that's going on and how to get involved in it. We have a great website that has information about upcoming shows, season tickets, summer drama camp, our Tammy Awards program, and you can check that out. You can also sign up for our email list on that website. There's a link to join us, and we'll send you monthly newsletters and other updates on anything that's coming up. So we love to see new people in the seats at the theater and on our stage as well.
Wonderful. Gail, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on Arts for the Masses. Thanks for swinging by.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm glad to be here.
And one more reminder, The Music Man, me as Harold Hill, February 23rd through, well, March 2nd, because March 3rd is sold out now. So get those tickets while you can. We didn't even get to talk about the Tammy Awards. That's a whole nother show.
We'll have another show.
We'll have another show for that. Thanks for tuning in to Arts for the Masses. Yes, the arts are alive in Massachusetts. If you are a community group that presents art, music, drama, dance, anything like that, please get in touch. I'd love to have you right here in this seat to chat about what you're doing and what you're offering to the community. I'm Ryan Malyar, and thanks for watching.